This week, Rishi Sunak tried to hide behind big numbers on the housing crisis and then scored a bunch of own goals on the economy. With house building in England set to fall to the lowest level since World War II, Rishi Sunak was challenged on the fact that he's abandoned his election promise to build 300,000 homes a year. His defense is that since the Conservative Party took power in 2010, they've built
2.2 million additional homes.
What question do you think you were asked? Yeah, sure, you've built an average of about 160,000 homes a year, but you were asked if you've built 300,000 homes a year, to which the obvious answer is no. He also says there's
a 20-year high in the number of first-time buyers.
But they're paying £200 a month more because of what your party's done to the mortgage market. And his excuse for abandoning his election promise to build 300,000 homes a year is,
I promised to put local people in control of new housing. I delivered on that policy within weeks of becoming Prime Minister.
Let me get this straight. An MP of a party that only 44% voted for becomes Prime Minister without an election and is now bragging about the fact that he's not going to follow the manifesto that got the 44% to vote for him in the first place. Because, what? Democracy? Now, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, recently said that corporate profits, you know, that thing that Rishi Sunak has almost always voted against taxing, is the main driver of inflation, not paying people a proper wage. And instead of providing help with people's wages, this weekend, Rishi Sunak, the billionaire, told people in poverty to just hold their nerve. And his response to the backlash was,
but I'm glad she brought up the IMF when it comes to tackling inflation, because actually the IMF, in their words, strongly endorsed our plan to halve inflation, and they called our steps both decisive and responsible.
Now, as I've said before, they weren't calling Rishi Sunak decisive, they were calling the Bank of England decisive for raising interest rates. But do you know what the IMF did say about your policies when it comes to inflation? That your Brexit is making it worse. So keep that in mind when you talk about the damage that the Bank of England is doing to millions of people across the country by raising interest rates in order to fight inflation.
That does mean that we do have to make difficult decisions. It does mean we have to be patient while the impact of those decisions actually has an impact.
So you're saying that people just have to sit there and suffer, knowing that there are other ways you could choose to fight inflation, but you're just choosing not to do them. And what's your main tool for helping people with the energy price crisis?
We've taken significant action to help families across the country, most notably by taxing the windfall profits of energy companies.
That's interesting because people have been going through this crisis for well over a year. And here's what you were saying last year.
I don't think a windfall tax is the right thing to do.
It's almost as if somebody who brags about taking from the poor to give to the rich isn't the best leader for a cost of living crisis.